Hi, my name is Soda, and you're listening to Heartland, a fan podcast from a fan perspective. Welcome back to the podcast. I took last week off because we were celebrating Finland's birthday, so to speak, and it was in the middle of the week, so my schedule was a little bit crazy. But today we're celebrating something different, which is the season finale of season 17. It's been 2 weeks now, so maybe it's a little bit hazy, but let's recall back what happened through your comments. James said, I know this will be controversial, but this was by far my favorite season finale because, unlike others, it was just so positive and upbeat because we've had episodes in the past like Jack's heart attack and Ty's death. There was just something about this. It really represents what Heartland is about, the family connections. I'm so happy for Amy that Nathan has now came in, and I'd say that he will definitely have storylines in the potential season 18. The wedding scene was just perfect, but I thought there was one outlier, and that's Alicia Newton's absence. I know she has been busy with projects like My Life with the Walter Boys and Devil in Ohio, but I really hope we see her back. I wasn't happy with the lack of Jessica Steen this season. I think she's such a fundamental part of the show. It's unfair for her to have so little scenes. I'm praying we see Kerry James back. He's been an OG cast since the beginning. They really left him with so many unfinished storylines. Like, if they were writing him out for good, you would think that they would do a better job. I'm so happy to see Miranda back. There could definitely be more storyline developed with her and maybe even meet her husband more. Anyway, that's enough of a rant. I really enjoyed this. Then Sharon said, I thought this episode was okay. They wrapped up the wedding storyline and leaving the Heartland beef, Amy and Nathan's stories open. I'll admit, I did tear up when Shane asked him to be his best man. The wedding was very nice, but thought either Chloe's parents or Miranda had a bigger part in the wedding. Didn't like that there was no Lou/Amy scenes. I really enjoyed the camera work and Amy and Nathan working with powder. I like their banter and their exchange in the barn. Cloud casing with Lindy opens up their possible romance. Jack giving up so easy was a surprise, but Jack can be negative at times and then thankful for Lisa, who steers him in the right direction. Lisa having a birthday was random, but okay. Now Lou, Tim, and Jessica need a birthday party. The new CEO, in my opinion, seems to only be about money and not the products they sell or their customers. Good on Lou for letting the board know what they would be missing. I have a feeling that Iris will be looking at both Heartland Beef and Lou again. Hopefully, the writers don't have Lou join Garland, as she now feels that she fits into the ranch. The Katie storyline was okay. The storyline this season have been excellent, moving and powerful at times. The directing, editing, and acting have been fantastic. There are many more stories, human and horse, for season 18 and beyond. Hopefully, the writers keep up the standard they have set this season. P.S. Love the hand on hip pose from Lindy. We'll miss waiting for the next episode, but I'm hopeful for season 18. Many thanks to Heartland podcast for doing such a great job every week, and also the queen of memes, Rachel, for giving us a laugh. Then Wannabe Cowgirl said, like the episode, everyone left at the end in a good place, ready for season 18. Then Smoking Holster said, I'm not sure how I feel about a lot of this episode. I enjoyed watching it and feel the same way about the direction. Dean did a great job, as did the cinematographers, as always. Some beautiful shots and vistas we haven't seen before. The elephant in the room for me was the scene with Jack and Nathan at the trailer by the wedding, which we saw in the previews and which they caught from the final. Since both Jack and Tim have basically said that it's price that have turned their good luck, It would have been nice to see that scene. I have to add that there's no evidence Nathan has had anything to do with any of their woos. There's also a weird part to the story where, if we are to believe that prize beef has existed since 1947, how is their existence this whole secret? Can't tell you how refreshing it is to have men on the show actually apologize to the woman up front and without shame. What I did or said was wrong, and I'm sorry is something that's been missing. After 17 years, it's about time. I'm really enjoying Nathan and Amy's relationship up to this point. I get that it's not romantic in the classic sense, but it is relaxed even though the odd moments, and Nathan seems to have a way to turn a somewhat tense moment around and have Amy smile through it. I would have liked to see them dance at the wedding. I do find it somewhat bothersome to me when Amy talks about her great relationship with Ty. I know that they loved each other, but the truth is, to me at least, it's obvious that Ty was somewhat mentally abusive to her, especially from season 7 on. The ending scene of them cloud casing was great. Bringing us back to the first shot of the season was well thought out. I love that Katie made the jump, but on this ranch, where trick riding and jumping are the norms, it looked pretty straight to me. I like that she brought Lou out to watch, and I do enjoy seeing their relationship grow. The wedding was nice, and I'm glad it worked out. To me, the most important part was seeing Tim's growth through the past few seasons, which I have to attribute to Jessica's influence since it's the only real thing that changed. I love them as a couple. The shots of Nathan were interesting, and it seemed to me, at least, that Amy glanced over at him a few times. No way to really know except by expressions, but I enjoyed seeing what I thought was happening. Lisa's birthday was interesting as a surprise to all this, but I was somewhat disappointed that it was only used as a vehicle to get them on a cattle drive. As to Heartland Beef, seeing Lou in action was great, and I'm glad we got to see it, but that picture might be nice marketing to the crowd, but I don't believe at all that these women are the future of Heartland Beef. Let's face it, Jack and Tim are Heartland Beef and they make the decisions. Amy has no interest in the beef business. Lindy will follow Amy. Katie has no interest, it seems. Lisa has Fairfield, so it'll be up to Lou. Let's not kid ourselves. All of the Jack speeches don't amount to a hill of beans since he rules his roost and hasn't let go at all, nor really discussed anything about the future other than he's not retiring. Let's also not kid ourselves that no matter what the writers try to get us to believe, he's 90 and close enough, so it would be nice to see a serious family conversation surrounding that and an actual succession plan on the ranch. Then Rachel Horses said, I love this episode so much. Best finale in a while. Let me just start by saying they finally celebrated Lisa's birthday. I've been waiting since season 1 for them to do that, and the fact that it was a total surprise was awesome. You should have seen my face because I wasn't expecting that at all. And then they had a family cattle drive similar to season 2, and Lisa was riding a horse. Seriously, it was probably my favorite moments of the season right here. I love the photo shoot as well. I love seeing them all dressed like cowboys, especially Lisa. I do wonder what horse Lisa was riding though. I also love Jack's talk to all of them on the drive as well. Heartland is really good at these moments, and the fact that it was the whole family and they were doing it while ranching was so good. We hardly ever get the whole family in one place having a moment like this that's not at the dinner table. We were only missing Peter. Jack and Lisa's scene at the end was really good too. And Lisa was riding again. Loved it. As far as the cattle business goes, they are in an interesting place. I didn't realize till the episode was over that we never got a resolution to the issue, which is good for another season. I know everyone thought there would be a merger based on context clues and that still the official page posted that scene wasn't in the episode. I still think that's a good idea, but I'm interested to see how they solve this problem next season. The opening scene was so foreboding. I thought that really bad things were going to happen. LOL. I loved him just walking into the office and Lou's face was so funny. I wonder why Fred was fired. I don't really like the new CEO that much, especially when she cut off Lou in the middle of a really good pitch. Lou standing up to them was also great, and Tim's face was funny in that scene. I'm interested to see how Nathan and his business fit into Heartland Beef's problem, especially because of his budding relationship with Amy and his conversation with Jack. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I have to say that Amy and Nathan's scenes were super good again. Molly running up to Amy was cute, and it was a nice touch to show Nathan putting Molly in the truck during the fire. I liked their conversations while looking for powder, as it allowed Nathan to explain himself a bit more and let Amy thaw a bit with Nathan's proposing joke. His whole swearing off marriage and relationships will make things interesting next season, but should make for good scenes. Their conversation in the barn was also good, and I think Amy admitting she would do a relationship all over again if she knew it would end in a heartbreak really got to Nathan. I also really love the scene where they are working together with Powder. The music and how it was shot along with them just working together really worked for me. Amy sort of asking him to the wedding, and his response was really cute. Nathan tearing up a bit at the wedding and Amy seeing it was nice too. Nathan, Amy, and Lindy riding together at the end and the cloud casing scene were also some of my favorites for the episode and the season. Really makes me excited for next season with them. Lindy writing did make me realize that we never again heard about Theo when it was such a big deal that Lindy got him last season. I think that's who she's writing, but it's weird we never really heard about it again. As far as the wedding goes, can we ever have a wedding with no big drama in the show? It's normal to have little things go wrong here and there, but I swear something big always happens. The fire did look good though, so good job, special effects. I also was going to applaud them for at least having something go wrong that wasn't the couple having issues, but that ended up not happening. Haha. Despite that, I do really like Shane and Chloe, especially during the scene where they make up. They just show a lot of maturity and understanding that doesn't always happen with couples in the show. I also like Jessica and Miranda interaction. It was a great conversation and it was nice they sort of came to an understanding. Tim giving Shane advice in the dock and then throwing rocks was good too. Shane asking Tim to be his best man and then Tim choking up was so good. Chris Potter really delivered. It's crazy to think how far they've come. Tim also not knowing how to tie the bow tie was a nice touch, as well as Shane wearing Amy's buckle. I also like that Tim and Miranda had a nice closure scene where they came to an understanding. I felt they needed that after what happened to them before in the earlier seasons. Also, there's just something about Jack's speeches because he always has really good ones, and the wedding one was no exception. The wedding itself was really pretty and I really liked it. Jessica giving Tim that photo of him and Shane was also really good. Katie's storyline wasn't that big, but it was good. I'm really liking Ellie, so I hope she stays around. Katie wanting Lou to come watch her attempt the jump and then both of them getting so excited when she made it was such a good mother-daughter moment. I'm so glad this is where their relationship is after what happened last season. This was definitely one of my favorite episodes of the season. Can't wait till we hear about season 18 as this finale left a lot of potential. Also, I'm sorry this was so long, haha. Didn't realize till I was done how long it was. And Stephanie said, to start off my review, I just want to thank Soila for putting so much time and dedication to the podcast. Thank you. It's definitely been a pleasure listening to it each week and hearing what other people think of each episode. I'm sad that this season has come to an end so quickly. With that being said, let's dive into my thoughts. I absolutely love the opening shot of Jack riding Blue on the hill. The cinematography this episode was really well done. I also love the ending shot of Jack and Lisa on the hill. It was such a sweet moment between them. The moments between Shane and Tim were by far my favorite this episode. I love how close they've become. Seeing Jessica give Tim that photo from the wedding made me tear up. Such a sweet moment. The wedding was magical. It wasn't over the top, which was really nice, but I absolutely loved the archway at the end of the aisle, and the flowers on it were so pretty. The ladies playing the violin and cello were so good. It added a nice touch to the scene. It helped make it feel like a real wedding. I also really like Chloe's dress. She looks so beautiful. I love seeing Nathan help walk his horse along with Chloe down the aisle. It was definitely a clever way to get him to be there. I definitely laughed when he teased Amy about that idea. It was such a cute moment. Along with that, I'm glad him and Amy have patched things up. I definitely was a bit giddy when at the end we saw he had agreed to go cloud gazing with Lindy and Amy. The looks they gave each other definitely shows they like each other more than just in a platonic way. I'm liking the idea of them together more and more. I did think randomly throwing in the fact that it was Lisa's birthday was a tad random. Don't get me wrong, I love seeing her and having her involved in the story, but it felt sort of out of place. I guess only because I feel like there was no lead up to it, no mention of it earlier in the episode. Glad we see Katie is continuing to dirt bike. It was adorable seeing Lou get excited about Katie making the jump. What a cute mother daughter moment. We were so blessed with these scenes this season. Here's hoping for another season. As for myself, I really like this episode, and I was really surprised about that because, as I've said in the past, I have trust issues when it comes to premieres and finales. So I went in with low expectations, and thankfully, it didn't suck. It was actually really good. I found myself smiling a lot. I really found this set of characters interesting to watch, and it did give me nostalgic feelings sometimes. You know, how they had written the family dynamics and, you know, the essence of Heartland into this particular episode. And I think a lot of the storylines came to a nice little, I wouldn't say end, but a bit stop in a way, because I see a lot of potential for possible season 18. So it really makes me excited to see more of what could be. I also really thought that there was a lot of cinematic feel. Like, it wasn't just like I was watching a TV show. It was like, whoa, like this almost feels like a movie. Like this, the beginning of the episode, the music, it was very eerie. And I think it was Age Old Horses who said that they really thought that something really bad was going to happen because of the omen talk and the way the music was so heavy and the way it kept building up. And in a way, there was a little bit bad luck and all that. But then in the end, they wrapped it up nicely in a Heartland way. So I think there was a good balance. There was a little bit of action, there was a little bit of romance, humor, this like heartfelt, emotional scenes, all that. And I think they did a great job with this finale. I'm going to start with the wedding conversation or Shane and Chloe related storyline. I have to say, this might actually be maybe even one of my favorite weddings of the show, which is strange because I don't really have that big of a relationship between Shane and Chloe, but just the way it was set up, the way they incorporated Chloe's roots to the ceremony, the red, the symbol on the ark, the way her hair was put up, all these little details. I think it was just so beautiful, and the way they merged together that romantic country feel and then the Chinese wedding culture. I think it was done so beautifully, and reading what the process of that was like, it just makes it even more beautiful that they really made an effort to make it seem like it could actually be something that would happen between these characters. And also, when it comes to having guest stars like Shane, Chloe, Miranda, a little bit of Paul, we barely saw him, which was surprising because I thought he was going to be on a bit more, but okay, fine. I think one episode is never enough. I think it was very visible why they should be on at least for 2 episodes for a storyline like this. I think it was done well. Like, especially, you know, earlier in the season, we had Shane coming back and visit. Then we settled the family dynamic a little bit more, and then the wedding was happening, and then it was sort of getting ready for it, and then it was the finale and the reception and all that. So I think it was done really well. And despite this being a short season, I think they used the time with these guest stars in a way that I found really pleasant. I also saw some of the conversation between fans about like who's right about the fight between Shane and Chloe. And personally, I don't see like people being right in these type of situations. I see what comes out as a reflection of what they're going through. And people are really layered in real life as well. So it's not as simple as being right or wrong. Like everyone has their reasons. And I think there was a nice balance between the points they were trying to make. And then when they came together in the middle of the episode and talked it through and saw that there were compromises they could make. And I think that showed that they really were mature and ready for something like marriage and building their life together and all these new adventures they will go on. So I really like the way that the couple was shown, and I still think, like I said in the last episode, that they had a good chemistry and it was very believable. And yeah, I really loved seeing this wedding because even though we haven't seen Shane in a while, it still gives us this possibility of reuniting with the character in a moment where family is usually present and it makes sense for them to come together for something like this. I especially loved in this episode the scenes between Tim and Shane. Like, the way Tim has grown as a character is just perfect. The parallels to the past, like the scene at the dock and throwing the stones and all that, it just really made my heart feel this nostalgic feeling and warmth. And what Tim said to Shane about working together as a couple and how he encouraged Shane to rethink of the situation and go in from another angle and all that. So I really thought it was so beautiful to see how Tim was there for Shane in this important moment of his life. And then the whole bow tie scene, like Shane asking him to be his best man, like I thought it was done so well. And the emotional charge of that scene was really believable. And I kept watching, like when Tim was trying to make the bow tie, and I was like, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. I thought it was just a crest thing, but then Tim was like, I don't know what I'm doing, and it just released this like laughter and made the scene even more emotional for me, at least. As for the scene with Jessica and Miranda in the loft, I know it was a small scene, but I think it was a very important scene and it spoke volumes. I could sense that Jessica didn't really know how to interact with Miranda, but she really tried. She asked if she wanted to stay and wait for Tim and maybe have some tea or something. And, even though Miranda refused, when she saw the picture of Jessica and Tim, she then opened the dialogue and, said the whole thing about you got the better version of him. And I think it was such an important moment for not only Jessica and Miranda, but also for Tim, just kind of deliver it that Tim has grown immensely and it has required certain elements for him to get there. Like, I think the biggest change started when he started dating Casey, and that didn't last, unfortunately. But then he was a bit better man when he met Jessica, and then Jessica really allowed him to grow even more. And for Miranda to see that, it's like shocking because this is not the Tim she remembers. And I would imagine it would kind of make her go a little bit bitter, like, like if only he would have been like this when we met. But, that's the journey of life. Like, it doesn't always, like, people aren't always ready for certain things until later on in the life. And then at the same time, it was good to see that Miranda didn't feel bitter in that sense because she has this, I believe, loving relationship with Paul. And so she has made her own journey as well. So just because they weren't a good fit with Tim doesn't mean the relationship was for nothing, because obviously Shane was born out of it, and they now have this beautiful family and relationship together, even though there's not this traditional family like setting, but it's still a good family setting because it works for them. As for the Amy and Nathan scenes, I did really like that the wedding sort of set up these conflicts between them and then allowed them to grow within the episode. Like, obviously, we know that Nathan has this whole thing with getting married and opening his heart to love again. But then it really was challenged when he was sort of part of the wedding team in a way. And then it allowed him to kind of explore that side of him and maybe get more familiar with the idea that not all love ends in a heartbreak. And I really like that they get bouncing back between Amy and Nathan, like the banter and light flirtating tones under their dialogues, and it all felt really natural, and it isn't like they're dating or anything yet, but it still feels like it's heading to that direction, and it feels like it's done in a way that's very respectful for both of these characters. And I'm loving it. And I especially really like the scene where Amy sort of comes in and says, like, I guess you just want to say I told you so. And you really can see the growth in Nathan already, like the way Amy has challenged him to rethink things, not just for himself, but just in general as well. Then he asked about would you do it again if you knew what was coming? And I can't believe that they actually made me feel something for Ty and Amy for that second. Like, there are a lot of opinions that I have about the relationship, but just allow myself to see the relationship through Amy's eyes for a second. And I just knew immediately that she would say in a heartbeat. And I think it doesn't really tell something about the relationship itself. I mean, obviously in Amy's mind is it's worth it, but more about Amy, that she sees it as worth going through, that she thinks that love has some painful moments as well, but then it's the good things that really matter in the end, and you can't think of the hurt that you've been through. You have to focus on the good thing. And it's a beautiful moment for her in her journey with grief, because it's been a few years now and she can kind of see it in a different perspective when it doesn't hurt every moment, but it's still something that sort of flares up every now and then, depending on the situation and all that. So it was a really beautiful moment. And I think Nathan hearing her say that, it really struck something in him. And then later on at the wedding, when he saw the celebration and just the pure love of Chloe and Shane, like, I think it really challenged him to reevaluate what he is actually thinking. Like, I think what he said earlier in the episode, like being a simple man, like living on his own, having his dog and horses and all that, I think he seems like he has sort of isolated himself or sort of set his life up in that way. Now that Nathan isn't so isolated when he's interacting with the rest of the world, and especially with Amy, what he says isn't the ending of his journey in that thing, if that makes sense. And then I really like the way they teased about the cloud casing situation, the way the season started, and then Amy being like, maybe I'm open to having someone in my corner again. And then the season ending in a way that lets us see in a subtle way that maybe this is the person in her corner. And it wasn't something like major in a way, but I think it works. It makes even a bigger impact when it's such a subtle way to show the this is something that's starting to blossom, and I really love that. And I really hope that there's season 18 because I really want to see where they're going to take this and where we find Amy and Nathan when the season starts. As for the Heartland Beef storyline, I don't really have a lot to say. It was nice to see the Garland Beef headquarters because we haven't seen that, and it really sort of made it even more real that this is the reason why they need Lou, because this environment, I don't see Jack or Tim in it in a natural way. I feel like Fred was sort of their spokesperson because the personal relationship they had with him. Now that Fred is fired, it's sort of like I don't see them being able to handle this sort of scene with just the two of them. So having Lou in their corner is like the best thing they could have right now. It was just nice to see Lou kicking ass again and laying it thick, like why they need Heartland Beef and why they should care about the producers and their story in a way. So I really like that, and I think it left the storyline a little open-ended. It should be interesting to see how they actually deal with that next season. But like some of the others said, it was strange that they didn't include that moment between Nathan and Jack in the episode because I really wanted to hear what that conversation was, because the scene at the gate and Jack kind of looking defeated, I felt like we didn't really have a bookend for that, but maybe that was on purpose. I don't know. But would have been nice to know what they actually talked about because they were shaking hands. So I believe in some ways they were making amends or having a truce, or I don't know. So should be interesting to see if that comes up next season, possibly. As for Katie, she didn't really have a big storyline in this episode, but I think the couple of scenes that we got with her and the dirt biking, I think it was a good way to end the season because we started with her being kind of unsure what her passion could be, and now she's found this and she's taking new steps and finding friends and all that. So I think it was a good way to end the season for her. I do wonder if the storyline continues in the next season, like how they will expand that. Probably it will be more about her relationship with Brandon and Ellie rather than the biking itself. Maybe something traumatic like getting hurt, or I don't know. But I feel like it isn't necessarily too clear what could happen with that. And it's always a good thing because it makes you want more. Was also kind of shocked they actually had Lisa's birthday in this episode. Like when I heard them singing her happy birthday, I literally gasped. We've never seen her birthday before. While this was a small scene, it was still a nice family moment, especially with them going on a cattle drive and seeing Lisa riding a horse and just taking part of that whole setting because we don't really see that with her. And it really reminded me of season 2. And it's like, yes, she can do it all. We just don't see her do it all a lot of the time. So it was a nice reminder that she's very versatile and she can also be a cowgirl and wear cowgirl outfit and look believable while doing what she did. Yeah. I think overall everyone was left in a good place, and I think having that scene with Jack and Lisa at the end was just like a nice way to sort of let us know that everything's okay and the story will continue. And now we just wait for renewal news, and I don't think those are coming anytime soon. So we probably have to wait for months and months, but it's always that way. So nothing new, I guess. Thanks for sticking with me this season, but we're not done yet with covering the season 17 necessarily. Next week, I will have a guest on and we talk about the Calgary International Film Festival, the season premiere of this season. And then I have a recap episode of the whole season, you know, what you thought about it and what you're gonna walk away with. So there's a post up for that. So if you haven't commented yet, please do so we can have all your final thoughts about season 17. And until next week's episode, keep your noses clean and your powder dry, as they say. Bye.